Okay, I've signed into Fusion, and now I'm going to begin this process. So you'll be in Fusion, exit any notification windows, and I'm here in an untitled view. So to understand a little bit more about Fusion, okay, we have this box in the top right-hand corner, which allows me to change the view. I want to be selecting the front panel of the top view, and that'll change my perspective. I can use the pan tool to move side to side. And then if I really wanted to use the orbit tool, I could use it over here and allow myself to orbit around this current section. But for our purposes, we don't need the orbit button. So I'll just right click and hit OK. I'll hit the top, and then I'll make sure that the orientation is correct by just adjusting the rotational buttons here. Okay. For our purposes here, we're going to start off with creating a sketch. So creating a sketch is up at the top left. Decide to create a sketch. And we need to select the plane or face, which means that I'm going to just select this box here for our starting procedures. So I'm going to pan a little bit so I can get a better perspective of what I need to do. And to get started, I'm going to use the rectangle. So we're going to start by clicking this bottom button, extending out, and it'll give me two different measurements. So our first base measurement is 105 millimeters. And then we hit Tab to adjust the second measurement, which is the height. And this one is 190 millimeters. So I hit Enter as well. And I'll be left with a box. And we're going to do all of our work within this space. Ooh, that seems to be very high. So let's go back here. Maybe we need to adjust the height here. Rectangle, select. Just go through this process again. 105 millimeters. Tab, 190 millimeters. Enter. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to measure the different angles in this side piece. So I'm going to be working within this space. So I'm going to be using the line tool in order to do some of these measurements. So on this one particular side, we have to go up 100 127. Let's just get it here. $135. So I'm going to go up here, select this side, go up 135. So I have a point here which will allow me to add this angle piece here. So if I do the same thing on this side, whatever this measurement is, briefly check, should be about 30 millimeters. So we type in 30 mm, hit enter, and that'll give us our secondary point. Okay, so now we need to, from this corner, measure where our angle is going to follow here. So this measurement should be 45 millimeters. So click the top corner, go over, hit 45 millimeters, hit enter, and now we have that point. So I can now draw a line between this point and that point, and we have that angle piece there. Now we need where the second one is, but there's a little bit of space at the top here. We'll move over, and it should be about 30 millimeters. And now we can draw a line between those 2 points, this one, this one. Okay, and now we're basically set up for the extrusion process, which means that we're going to turn this into a 3D object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this view at the top here, and I'm going to hit the corner, this corner little button, and that's going to change the view a little bit so that I can see this particular shape. Okay. We're going to hit solid in the top left, and we're going to hit the second button, or if we go down and hit create, we'll look for extrude, which is E. So I'll select, so there will basically be 3 triangles that you need to select. You need to select the one in the middle, which is the shape that we actually want to extend. So this should be about 20 millimeters. Okay, now we have our shape, but we're also going to need the locations of all the holes as well. So let's go back to the top view, pan so that we can see our 3D shape, and we're going to make a series of measurements so that we know exactly where the intersection of those lines are for all of these different holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the sketch button again at top left, and I'm going to select the actual 3D face here. So I could select the box, but I'm going to just select our shape. Okay, pan up a little bit. And I'm going to start at the bottom section here. So I'm going to zoom in so that you can see a little bit easier. I'm going to use the line tool, and we're going to use what I'll call construction lines. Construction lines being the one that's going to help us to be able to pinpoint all of the different holes for this face. So from this bottom corner, we need to go up 9 millimeters. We hit enter, and now we have the measurement 0.9, and we're going to take a line tool again, and we're going to draw a 90-degree line across the entire face of our piece, because we have 2 holes that are basically at the same height. So we hit enter along the edge. So this is our 9 millimeter line that goes across the entire side. From either end, it's 19 millimeters. So I hit this corner point, and I'm going to enter in 19 millimeters. I hit enter, and now I have the cross-reference point for this first hole. And then on this opposite side, it's another 19. I'm going to go 9 millimeter, enter, and now I'm left with these 2 points. These particular holes are only 0.3 in terms of size, so 3 millimeters. So let's go 3. Oh, might be a little bit too big. 0.3. Right, 0.3. We hit enter, and we have the perfect size of our hole. I'm going to go over here. 0.3. Enter, and now we have those 2 small holes at the bottom. Okay, what we can do now is we can select the lines that we did and delete them. So we can right click and hit delete to get rid of one. Do the same thing, delete, same one here, right click, delete, and then this one here, right click, delete. And now we're left with no construction lines, but just our circles. And I'll show you how to remove them from our piece once we move on to this kind of next step. So the next measurement is 52 millimeters. So from this corner, I'm going to go up 52 mm, hit enter, and I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to draw this line from one end of our piece to the other, making sure that we have 0 degrees, or in our case, a straight line across our entire face. And there are 2 different measurements from this edge that I need to calculate, which are just adding a line. So we have one at 56 millimeters. Should be there. And then another one at 75 millimeters. Enter. Oh, added a new tool. I should make sure that I'm selecting the line tool and the cross point and making sure that I have 75 millimeters. Making sure I hit enter. I have those 2 points, one at 7.5 and the other one at 5.6. And I'm going to draw those 2 lines. And these ones should be a little bit larger. It should be at least 10 millimeters. So 10 millimeters. mm, enter. So I have my two holes here. I can select these lines and delete them. and then the one along the edge. And then I'm left with my holes in the correct spacing. I'm going to do the next line up, which is 107 millimeters. Pan up a little bit, draw my line straight across like I've done before, making sure it's 0 degrees. And then another line from that corner. It's over 15 millimeters. Use my hole tool, circle tool, and this is 10 millimeters. I hit enter, and it has allowed me to make a circle. I delete these other two, delete this line, and delete the measurement line, and I'm left with just a circle. I'm going to start to zoom out a little bit more because I need a little bit more space to see where my line is going to go. I go up along the edge. My next measurement is 127 millimeter. I'm going to go up here and do the next one, which should be 160 millimeters. And then finally our last one, which is 174 millimeters. Enter. So I have 3 points where I'm going to draw these lines over. This is just a continuation of what I've already been doing. And one last one here. Okay. And from this edge, I've got one at 15 millimeters. Enter. And this one at 35 millimeters. Enter. This one here, 45 millimeters. Enter. And then this one here at 57 millimeters. Enter. And these are all based off the measurements that I have done. Yours measurements might be a little bit more accurate, a little bit less accurate, but the point is that they need to be as close as possible to where these holes need to be. So each of these circles are 10 millimeters. So we'll select it, make sure we're putting in 10 millimeters for each circle. 10 millimeters. And then lastly, 10 millimeters. Now it's important to get rid of these lines, so let's go back, go around and delete them. So I'm just simply selecting and hitting the backspace button on each of these particular lines, which will allow me to get rid of all of the construction lines that I've made so that I can see everything a little bit more clear. And then this 127 line, I'll get rid of as well. Okay. So I should be left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 circles. Okay. And I'm going to hit this Finish Sketch button. And what that's going to allow is me to see all of these circles and allow me to remove them. So what I need to do is go up to the top left, and we're going to use the Extrude button to do this. And I'm going to select each of these circles. And I might have to zoom in for these small ones, which means that I'll be doing each of them at the exact same time. Use a pan button, and now I can hit right click and hit OK. And at this point now I have this arrow, but I also have this measurement indicator here. So I'm going to just basically reduce the number that is there. So I just need to go minus 20 millimeters. That should allow me to be left over with the holes.